Welcome to the Set Free Woman podcast, where transformation starts with you first. Together, we'll awaken your kingdom identity, embody your new heart, restore the marriage you have always longed for, and cultivate generations of freedom. Here we uncover the hidden codependent patterns, beliefs, and nervous system responses that keep women stuck in unhealthy marriage cycles and disconnected from who God created them to be. I'm Tara Reed, licensed therapist, coach, and founder of the Set Free Woman Intensive Healing Program. Let's dive into freedom, healing, and lasting transformation. Okay, ladies, today we're going to talk about how trying to fix someone else's feelings is like doing their sit-ups and expecting their abs to show up. It's a weird analogy, and you can completely see how erroneous that would be in reality. But man, ladies, when we struggle a lot with codependency and we struggle a lot with feeling responsible for everyone else's feelings, we can get caught in this trap for a long time, and it is completely exhausting. And like always, ladies, we look into the Word of God to find truth and to find clarity of what's okay and what's not okay. Because sometimes if you are a fixer of feelings, you do this because you really truly care about another person and you think that this is really loving. Because honestly, our self-awareness is lacking, and we were taught that this is how relationships are done. So we're going to look today at Galatians 6:2, and it says this, two very confusing things. One, it says, carry each other's burdens. And then later it says, but each person should carry their own load. So let's break this down for a second. What the Word of God is meaning when it says carry each other's burdens, it means simply this, that we are called to support our spouse, our friends in relationship. We're called to be a support to them. We're called to have compassion on their story, on their heart, the things that they're going through. And we're also called to walk with each other in suffering. There's part of the fundamental human design for humanity that we do not want to be alone. God created us in community. So we're designed to be with each other, aka carrying one another's burdens. But just 3 verses later is when you see the next phrase where it says, for each one should carry their own load. So let's look at the word definition here. The word burden literally means something crushing or heavy where support is needed. Have you ever lifted something really, really heavy and you needed a little support to carry that heavy thing in? Okay, this would be an example of a burden. Now, the load definition here means personal responsibility. Notice the Bible doesn't say manage or fix your spouse's or whomever's feelings and emotions so they don't have to feel discomfort. Looking at the life of Jesus himself, he did not fix anyone's feelings. And this is huge. When we look at a model of security and freedom and truth and love and what it truly means to be a child of God, we must look at Jesus because he modeled it perfectly. We will never model it perfectly. That is not the goal. But the goal is to have an end in mind and to have an example of what it looks like. But more importantly, we want to look at the heart of Jesus. Because if our hearts do not transform into a child of God's kingdom of God heart transformation, we'll just be juggling really fancy behaviors and really actually honestly showing up in the world incredibly hypocritical. I see this a lot in church culture, and I'm not downplaying church culture. I think there's beauty in the church. We're all flawed humans trying to do the best we can. But the way of the kingdom of God is transformation, not behavior modification. And so if you find yourself trying to just change your behavior without changing your heart, aka many of us in codependency do this, many of us in our marriages do this. I did this for years. You're going to find you're fighting a futile fight. So let's look at what Jesus did. Jesus, he loved perfectly, yet people still, listen here, they still felt offended by him. They were still angry with him and jealous with him and felt abandoned and betrayed by him. They still felt convicted and resistant and hurt and really uncomfortable around him. There was no fixing of feelings. And notice what Jesus did not do. He never over-explained himself to stop someone else's discomfort. Anybody ever done that? If you're a fixer of feelings, I guarantee you've done that. I did that for years. I still have a tendency to do that sometimes. But he never over-explained himself to ease or to stop someone else's discomfort. Another thing he never did was he never abandoned the truth to maintain emotional peace. Have you ever watered something down or downplayed it or minimized it? I'm not saying be all big and hoity-toity. Jesus wasn't like that either, but he stood firm. He never wavered in spite of other people's emotional responses. Jesus also never emotionally rescued anyone. He let them sit in their discomfort. And if you are hearing me right now and you're in a marriage that has codependency written all over it, or whatever the relationship dynamic is, maybe with your children or your parents or your friends, whatever that is, how many times do you try to emotionally rescue someone else? So it's not so bad. We just do it and it's not working for us. Here's another thing. Jesus never, ever, 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 ever manipulated anybody's reactions. I can say I've done that about 5,000 times before in my life. I hope I'm not alone. Let me give you an example of Jesus doing things securely and allowing people to sit with their own discomfort. The Gospel of John chapter 6 says, many disciples left Jesus because of his teachings were too difficult. Jesus let them go. He didn't chase them. He didn't beg them. He didn't try to convince them. He didn't rephrase it. He didn't teach it again. He didn't water it down. He let them go. So there's a couple points I want to talk about today and really challenge you if you are a chronic fixer of feelings of other people. Number one, not everyone will like you. And that's 100% normal. In fact, in psychology and in therapy, oftentimes we use the rule of 25%. 25% of people will naturally like you. 25% of people may grow to like you. 25% may completely misunderstand or dismiss you, and 25%, no matter what you do, they just won't like you. So imagine being in a room of 10 people, how challenging it will be to manage and fix everyone's emotions. And sometimes when we're fixers of feelings and we get in group settings, anxiety goes up, and this is why. I cannot possibly manage everyone's emotions in the room because they're all so different. And I cannot possibly shift or change someone else's internal narrative about me or the experiences or about themselves or the experiences. It's 100% impossible. So breaking this down even more clearly, maybe if you have a room of 10 people, maybe 2 or 3 of them is actually going to like you and they're going to connect with you and it's going to be easy. Then you're going to have maybe 2 or 3 that are kind of a little bit more guarded, but they're kind of naturally open. And so they're like, okay, I think she's got something going on. And then maybe 2 or 3 will be like, I don't vibe with this person at all. In fact, I do not like this person. And then this judgment starts going on and on and on. And then maybe 1 or 2, there's just nothing you're going to do to be able to win them over. Nothing at all. And here's the thing that I want you to notice. None of that has anything to do with your worth and your value. Okay? Point number 3. Likability is often about resonance, not value. Ooh, let me say that again. Likability is often about resonance, not value. This is key right here. The research tells us that people actually tend to like people who feel familiar to them, that they feel emotionally safe with them, that perhaps they have very similar values or interest or connected points that are naturally there. They're authentic and there's a warmth about them, and there's like a subtle confidence that they experience when they're in their presence. Think about the people that you know in your life, the people that you're around that you kind of naturally resonate with or you like. Do they have those characteristics? Are they familiar? Are they emotionally safe? Do you guys have similar values and interests? Is there an authenticity about them? Are they warm? Are they confident? More than likely, you're answering the question, yes. So when someone doesn't like you, it simply means this. They have different wiring. They have different values. They may have different personalities or ways of doing things. They may have different projections of energy and capacity, or they may actually have very different life experiences. So hear me, ladies, differences are not a personal rejection. Differences are not feelings you have to fix in another person. Differences are just simply differences. They have nothing to do with your value or the other person's value. Okay, let's go to point number 4. The more authentic you become, the more polarizing you become. Want to get someone to like you? Learn to like yourself. Let's break it down. This is a fascinating reality. People who are highly authentic and differentiated from other people, they tend to attract deeper connections from right, healthy, and secure people, while simultaneously creating discomfort in others. What? So the more authentic you become, the more you attract people who are like-minded and similar to you, but the more you actually create discomfort in others who are not secure and authentic. Wow. So really what I'm saying is that the healthier you become and the more differentiated you become and the more authentically aligned with your God-given identity, the more you're going to attract people that have like-minded interests as you, that are authentic as well, but the more you're going to create discomfort in people who do not have that skill developed in them as well. That's crazy, ladies. So strong identity, really strong identity creates resonance with some, but resistance with others. Whoa. Let me say that again. Strong identity, strong authenticity creates resonance with some and distance with others. And in codependent relationships and codependent marriages, really aligning to this is very challenging when we stop fixing our spouse's feelings and we stop managing everyone's feelings around us. 2 things are going to happen. They will absolutely happen. I'm going to have resonance with some people and I'm going to have resistance with others. This is why it's a challenge in your relationship, because the fear is I'm just going to have resistance. If I stop managing their emotions, if I stop fixing them, if I stop telling them what to do, if I stop placating them, if I don't continue to soothe them when they're angry, they're just going to have resistance towards me. And initially, that's probably pretty accurate, especially if you have a pattern where someone is used to other people soothing them. Because when they stop soothing them, they're going to become completely dysregulated inside themselves. And out of dysregulation comes defenses, right? So initially, when the pattern is shifting in a marriage from fixing someone else's feelings, you are absolutely more than likely going to have some kind of resistance. Stand firm like Jesus did. We do not have to overexplain. We do not have to manage but we get to simply stand firm. Over time, when that nervous system in the other person and yourself learns to regulate, the pattern starts to shift and resonance now has space to grow. So going back to the quick analogy of the 10 people in the room, and if you're really working on stop being a fixer of feelings, I'm going to challenge you with a couple of things. Say you're in the room of 10 people. And instead of asking, how do I get all 10 people in this room to like me? We're going to start asking, can I show up authentically enough in my God-given identity, knowing who I am, choosing how I show up, giving myself permission to be myself in situations? Can I do that enough that the right people in the room, my people in the room, can truly connect with me? Because trying to get all 10 people's approval in the room, it leads to masking, it leads to people pleasing, it leads to anxiety, and it leads to a lot of loss of self. We must be courageous and be willing to find ourself. When I first started working on this, I remember being in a big event. I used to hate to go to large conference areas and rooms because this exact thing happened. I didn't know how to show up. I didn't know who I was. I was trying to manage everybody in the room, and I masked. And if I say that phrase and you're a masker, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You put on this happy appearance, but inside you have debilitating anxiety, but no one sees it. And you actually learned that skill of masking a long time ago as a little person. And so it comes very naturally to you, but it ain't fun. And you surely aren't having connection. And I remember when I first started working on this in myself, I was asking God, okay, Lord, how do I want to show up? Do I want to show up and be someone that is curious about other people? Do I want to show up and help somewhere? Do I want to show up and connect with one person that I've kind of been thinking about lately? Do I want to show up and just bring my smile and use my smile at everybody? Do I want to show up and be a fly on the wall and simply observe life around me? Asking yourself, how do you want to show up, is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself as you're starting to lean into not fixing feelings or managing perceptions of everybody. Let's break this down just a little bit more. If you're really wanting to gain some self-awareness on, am I a feeling fixer? Let's start with asking these specific questions or being curious about these things. Start noticing, who do you become around different people? Many people have no idea that they shapeshift around other people. That in one area, they're kind of like this, and in the other area, they're kind of like this. A little quiet over here, a little edgy over here, a little judgy over here, a little holy over here, whatever it might be. But we have this ability to shapeshift. So when I'm around certain people, who do I become? Shame off you. Being curious isn't about dumping more shame on you. It's about really getting curious with yourself and allowing God to cultivate authenticity in you, your true God-given identity. So once you're having a little bit of awareness of who you are becoming around people, practice tiny truth tellings in those situations. So whether this is in the context of your marriage or an outing or wherever you are, practicing tiny truths allows my brain to focus on what is me and not managing what is you. Okay, so tiny truths may sound something like this. I'd rather go eat somewhere else tonight. I'm kind of tired and I don't want to go out. I actually don't agree with that statement. Wow, that really actually hurt my feelings. Or maybe I just kind of think I need some time to think on this. Or a simple no, I cannot make that commitment. Tiny truths are powerful with living in authenticity. And when we start showing up in authenticity, remember, it's going to create resistance in some people and resonance in others. So the third thing I want to challenge you with is we're going to let someone be simply disappointed without rescuing it. When I'm a people pleaser and I'm learning to put out tiny truths, my nervous system is going to feel anxious inside. And that pleasing tendency is going to want me to soothe the person outside of me. I need to fix it. I need to fix them. I need to fix their feelings. I'm done doing that. And I'm going to learn to practice an awkward pause. An awkward pause is where my nervous system feels awkward, and usually their nervous system is going to feel awkward as well. We're going to learn how to be okay in disagreement, regulating myself when disagreement happens. When unmet expectations of another person comes, I'm going to allow that slight disappointment without rescuing it in them. I'm not going to overexplain and fill in the gap. I'm not going to spiral out of control, and I'm not going to emotionally chase them. I'm just going to notice the awkward pause. Lord, sustain me in the awkward pause. You are doing something in both nervous systems, and right now I can only be responsible for mine. Okay, fourth little tidbit for today. We're going to also stop over monitorizing other people's faces. Superpower you have if you are a feeling fixer is you can read the room like a back of the hand. You will walk into the room and you will see everyone's faces, and you will notice the emotional energy that comes up inside them in like a nanosecond. And you're used to constantly scanning the room. We are going to stop over scanning and over monitorizing everybody's faces. Asking ourselves a question, are they okay with me? Did I do something wrong? Did they approve? Oh my gosh, I think their tone just changed. I bet I made them mad. Nope. Instead of doing that, we're going to gently shift that question to, I'm okay now with how I showed up. I'm okay with how I showed up. I was aligned to myself. I am learning and growing. A simple shift of a statement when you catch yourself over monitorizing other people's faces. And when I say, am I okay with me? The gravity of my world changes and it centers me back on solid ground. Number 5, let's learn the difference between love and performance. Performance says I must fit in at all cost. Authenticity says I can be loved without pretending. So you're going to ask yourself the questions. What do I do to gain approval from others? What do I fear would happen if I stopped? And who taught me that love was conditional? Ladies, this one thing, this performance role, it often deeply connects to codependent behaviors and attachment patterns and huge amounts of shame-based patterns in family systems and in relationships. Gaining awareness of what I bring to the table is huge for me in order for me to show up with my God-given design at the table. Number 6, we're going to spend some time discovering what we actually like. For so long, you have spent so much time focused on the needs of others that you might not even know what it is you like. What does bring you joy? What does make you laugh? What preferences you have, whatever it might be. So we're going to spend some time discovering what we actually like. We're going to do this by asking several questions. Questions like, hey, what energizes me? I'm going to scan through my life and think about times in my life where something energized me. I'm going to start asking that question. All right, here's another one. What drains me? What drains me that might be unique to me, that might not drain other people? It's okay. It's uniquely me. Okay, how about this? What do I genuinely enjoy? For me, I love watching Netflix. For me, I love it. I genuinely enjoy that. Netflix and cleaning, plus for me. I genuinely enjoy that. That makes my husband want to barf. Like, it is nothing like he enjoys. But for me, it is. Okay, so answering the question, what do I genuinely enjoy? Or what do I believe? What do I believe about people and humanity and life and myself? And what is God showing me about my belief and my walk with him? Whatever it might be, just generally thinking about what would life feel like if I had that alignment way more frequently. Alignment with what I liked, what I didn't like, alignment with who I was. We're going to cultivate curiosity. Number 7, ladies, when you're moving through managing feelings to building authenticity, we're going to expect discomfort. You have to realize that we are going to get comfortable getting uncomfortable. That's the healing journey. Discomfort comes because living authentically can actually feel incredibly selfish. It can feel unsafe. It actually can feel rude. It can feel exposed, and I can feel like I'm doing something wrong. If that's the case, you're going to zoom out and ask, am I actually? More than likely, you'll be no. Is this okay for other people to do? Another great question. If the answer is yes, it's okay for you to do as well. Give yourself permission. Because if you are conditioned in your family system to stay small, to keep the peace, and to manage emotions, your nervous system is going to interpret this change as dangerous at first because it's not familiar. That does not mean you're doing something wrong, okay? If I haven't done anything wrong, then guess what? I haven't done anything wrong. It's really that simple, even though your feelings may tell you that you have. It's just a familiar nervous system to the way you grew up. Number 8. We're going to stop trying to be universally digestible. This is one of the freest truths you will ever come across. Healthy people are not for everybody. Even Jesus himself was misunderstood. He was rejected. He was criticized and offended people often. Many people did not like him. He was the healthiest person who ever walked this planet. We have one life, ladies, just one that we get to honor and value and be true to ourselves. Why? Because Jesus died so that we could live. That simple. I'm going to challenge you to start living in your own body today. Number 9, build a life around alignment, not applause. Ask yourself, does this align with me? Does what's happening right now align with my values? If I get edgy and irritated at someone, is this aligning with my values? If not, God is showing you something. Does this align with truth? Or does this not feel like it actually is bringing freedom in my life? Does this align with who God created me to be? Simple. And it doesn't have to be big, huge things, guys. Like, I don't like to play basketball. Some of you may never listen to this podcast again. I'm not a basketball player. It doesn't align with me. I got 2 left feet. It doesn't work very good. I can't dribble. I can't see things out of peripheral. It just doesn't align with me. And so if I have to be a basketball player in order to fit in, I will never feel like I fit in. Right? It doesn't align with my value system. So does it align with peace and integrity in myself? Again, remember, not everyone will approve. And honestly, in marriages, again, this is hard because your spouse might not approve with the alignment in you. Give it time. Surrender the outcomes to the Lord. Patterns take time to change. And if I have never walked in my own value system, your spouse is about to be married to a totally different person. Give yourself some time to adjust. We have to honor the process. I married my high school sweetheart, guys. We've been together right now for 26 years. We grew up together. We changed. We shifted. We didn't have a clue who we were. And that takes time and attention and communication and trial and error and patience and prayer. Okay? The same is true. When you stop fixing feelings and you start living into alignment, you're no longer the person that you were and the person that your spouse married. That's scary. I understand it. But let me tell you this. You are a far healthier, far more patient, far more content person. That is very attractive to a lot of people. Having people attracted to you is not the goal. I just want you to know the outcome of living authentically. And number 10, last but not least, remember this tip. Authenticity doesn't mean I'm becoming louder. It's becoming less divided inside yourself, within yourself. It's when your inner world and your outer life, your values, your voice, and actions start matching each other. It's quite powerful. Thank you for joining me on the Set Free Woman podcast. I pray today's episode gave you deeper understanding, practical tools, and renewed hope for what God can do in your heart, your marriage, and your family. If you'd like to go deeper into your own healing journey, I invite you to watch my free training, The Simple Approach Christian Women Are Using to Save Their Troubled Marriages. In this training, you'll learn why marriages get stuck in painful cycles, how your story shaped the way you relate and connect, and the step-by-step process to healing the whole person, body, soul, and spirit. Until next time, remember, you can only love others with the measure you allow yourself to be loved. To learn more, visit thesetfreewoman.com. I'd love to walk alongside you in your healing journey.